Good morning all. We are back with our classes on life process in biology. We need to complete this by at least Friday so that you can start your test from Monday or Tuesday or whenever you write, because Saturday your question papers will be given and you can take the test on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or as your parents decide. Please don't write all the 3 tests on a single day. Write all the 3 tests on 3 separate days and hand over the paper at least back by answer script at least by Thursday morning or by Wednesday evening, so that we will take enough time to complete and correct and give it back to you. Now for transportation in plants. We studied till now transportation in animals. Last class we studied difference between arteries, veins and capillaries. We also studied how heart transports blood, that is double circulation in human heart. We studied that humans and birds, as they are warm-blooded animals, they have 4-chambered heart because a part of energy is required to keep up the temperature of the body as they are warm-blooded. We also studied that certain amount of reptiles and amphibians have 3-chambered heart and fishes have 2-chambered heart. We also studied that there are 2 sets of circulating fluid, blood and lymph. Blood contains of plasma and in 3 cells, that is RBC, WBC and platelets. We also studied that platelets basically help in clotting of blood by converting protein fibrinogen into fibrin threads and entangling the cells so that they do not flow out of the body, and then finally making a scab so that the blood does not ooze out. We also studied what is lymph. Lymph is also called as a tissue fluid. It is mainly used for the transportation of fat from the intestine, and it also pumps in all the extra fluid back into the blood. Now, transportation in plants. When we talk about plants and we talk about transportation, we are mainly involved with 2 tissues, xylem and phloem. This was part of last year tissues. You know they are called as vascular tissues or vascular bundles, and they basically are xylem and phloem. The most important aspect of xylem is xylem actually takes any substance, takes water, dissolved minerals, etc. from the root to the aerial part of the plant. That means xylem always takes the substances only in one direction. That is, it takes from the root to all the aerial or the topmost part of the plant. So it takes from bottom to the top. Whereas when you talk about phloem, phloem is mainly used in transportation of food, and the food factory in plant is leaf. Leaf is the one which prepares the food. So phloem can take it downward as well as can take it upward. It's basic that always xylem takes roots, xylem takes water and dissolved mineral from root to the aerial part of the plant. That means xylem always takes it from bottom to top, from ground level to the aerial levels. Whereas phloem basically takes dissolved food. Phloem is mainly used for the transportation of food. So phloem takes it because leaf is the food factory of the plant. Phloem takes it either below or either above to all the parts of the plant. Okay? So when I talk about transportation in plants, we know we do not have a pumping organ like heart in plants. So the plants require or plants maintain with the help of 2 things to transport water, mineral and food. A, which is called as root pressure, and B, to move substances up and down, they require another thing which is called as transpiration pull. So we know that plants do not have a well-developed organ like a heart to pump and arteries and veins to transport everything, dissolved substances as well as water and mineral to different part of the plant. They use these vascular bundles or tissues, xylem and phloem, to move substances up and down. Xylem always takes the substances from parts of the plant, whereas phloem can go downward as well as upward. Phloem is mainly used for transportation of food, whereas xylem is used for transportation of water and dissolved minerals. We also know that as they lack a pumping organ, they basically require some kind of pressure or a pull to take it up. The pull or the pressure is mainly what? Root pressure and transpiration pull. Now we will understand first what is root pressure. When we talk about root pressure, when we talk about root pressure, let us now understand about the movement. See, this is our plant and this is how the root looks like, isn't it? And this is my plant which comes up. So what happens is, the soil, which is very rich in minerals, okay, and there are many small thread-like structures which are called the root hair. This root hair basically is very important in taking up what? Water and mineral from the soil. So there is a high concentration of water and minerals here. The root hair goes deep inside, and you know there is high concentration here, there is very low concentration here. Inside and inside, the concentration of water and mineral is less. The concentration here in the soil of water and mineral is more. So what it does, there is less here, there is more here. So there is a kind of suction or a pull, and immediately through these root hairs, it channelizes into the main root and then to the aerial part of the plant with the help of xylem vescus. This kind of a pressure which is created, or a suction which is created, is called as what? Root pressure. Fine. Now during morning when stomata opens, okay, what happens? These stomatas basically will remove all the excess water in the form of water vapor from the aerial part of the plant. Stomata is mainly present on the ventral surface of the leaf. Also in some green stems it is present, but as the stem becomes woody, the disappearance of stomata goes, or there is no appearance of stomata in such stems. So what happens basically is, these stomata during the day, they open and the water is removed in the form of water vapor. So what happens here is, there is deficiency of water. So water kammi aada takshana adu, it will take a pull from bottom or from lower levels to take in water. So this kind of a pull which happens during the day is called as what pull? Transpiration pull. So basically any movement happens in plant due to root pressure and due to what pull? Transpiration pull. Let us read through it now in transportation in plants. We have discussed earlier how plants take in simple compounds such as carbon dioxide and photosynthesized energy stored in their chlorophyll containing organs, namely leaves. The other kind of raw material needed for building plant bodies will also have to be taken up separately. For plants, the soil is the nearest and the richest source of raw material like nitrogen, phosphorus and other minerals. The absorption of these substances therefore occurs through the part that is in contact with the soil, namely roots. Okay? So what are the raw materials that need to be taken? Water, carbon dioxide and certain nitrogen-based minerals, which may be nitrogen, phosphorus, NPK, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. The absorption of these substances therefore occurs to the part in contact with soil, namely the root. Please underline, if the distance between the soil contacting organ and the chlorophyll contacting organs are small, energy and raw materials can be easily diffused to all part of the body. But if the distance becomes large, because of the change in plant body design, diffusion process will not be sufficient to provide raw material in leaves and energy in roots. A proper system of transportation is therefore essential in such situations. Please write a question there. Why is diffusion pressure not sufficient Y is diffusion pressure not sufficient in plants to provide raw material in leaves and energy in roots. To provide raw material in leaves and energy in roots. So what is our answer? If the distance between the root and the leaf is very small, then diffusion pressure will help. But as you know, plants grow to very great heights and the distance between the root and the leaves become very, very large, then diffusion pressure cannot take all the substances from the root to different parts of the plant. So we require what? A proper transportation system. Is it clear? If the distance between the root and the leaf becomes less, diffusion pressure. If the distance between the root and the leaf is large, there requires a proper transportation system. Now, energy needs differ between different body designs. Plants do not move. Plant bodies have a large portion of dead cells. As a result, plants have low energy needs and use relatively slow transport system. Please write, why do plants manage a relatively slow transport system? Why do plants manage a relatively slow transport system? Underline your answer. Plants do not move. Their body designs have a large portion of dead cells. In most tissues or in many tissues, they have low energy needs and hence can tolerate slow transport systems. The distance over which transport system have to be operate, however, can be very large in plants such as very tall trees. Plant transport systems will move energy source from leaves and raw material from roots. These two pathways are constructed as independently organized conducting tube. 1. The xylem moves water and mineral obtained from the soil, and the phloem transport product of photosynthesis from the leaves, which are then synthesized in the different parts of the plant. Please write, what are the main components of the plant transport system? What are the main components of the plant transport system? What are the main components of plant transport system? So you will write or underline xylem, which takes water and mineral from the root, and phloem, which take the completely prepared food material from the leaf to the different parts of the plant. Now, if you remember, kindly tell what are the different components of xylem. There are 4 types of xylem you studied. What are they? Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Same way you studied 4 kinds of phloem. What were they? Sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers and phloem parenchyma. I am not very sure whether your answers are all correct or not. So make sure you check once all the things. Okay? I am not going to tell. I also teach 9th. I know the answer. Why I want you to go back and check once is because you should know what are the different aspects of xylem and phloem, because last year you rectified tissues. So you should know what are they. There are 4 components of xylem and 4 components of phloem. Please make sure to write there that what are those components. Okay? You know tracheid vessels, you know companion cells inside sieve tubes. Please make sure about the other 2 also. Okay? Or in the process, if it comes, we will tell you that also. So now we know that the 2 components of the plant system are xylem and phloem. 4 parts of xylem and 4 parts of phloem. In xylem, vessels of tracheids, of root, stem and leaves are interconnected to form a continuous system of water conducting channels reaching all parts of the body. At the root, cells in contact with the soil actively take up ions. This creates a difference in the concentration of the ions between the root and the cell. Water therefore moves into the root from the soil to eliminate this difference. This means that there is a steady movement of water into root xylem, creating a column of water that is steadily pushed forward. However, this pressure by itself is unlikely to be enough to move water over the heights that we commonly see in plants. Plants use another strategy to move water in the xylem upwards to the highest points of the plant body. What it says now, I have explained. This was all about what? Root pressure. Okay, so what he says or what is being told here is that the xylem of the root have got tracheids. These tracheids form a continuous channel from the root to the stem and to the different part of the plant. Okay, here there is more concentration in soil of ions. There are nitrogen ions, there are phosphorus ions, there are phosphates, nitrates, etc. along with water. Whereas inside the root, it is very less. So water always moves from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. And hence, through the root, water moves from the soil to the roots and then to the stem. But then, if the plant size is small, this can function. But as the plant size increases, plants use a different strategy to move water upwards. Is it clear? So please write. How does water enter the roots of the plant? How does water enter the roots of the plant? Please underline. Vessels and tracheids of the root, stem and leaves are interconnected to form a continuous system of water conducting channel. At the root, cells in contact with the soil take up ions. This creates a difference in the concentration of ions between the root and the soil. And water moves into the root from the soil to eliminate this difference. Okay, so this pressure is called a what pressure? Root pressure. So the water basically moves inside the root due to what pressure? Root pressure. Now activity 6.8, very important. Please write. Explain by an activity. There is this logic which is going on in CBSE board and NCERT board that they may remove activities, but I do not know yet. So we will continue of teaching the activity. If later it gets removed, you can just leave this part. It hardly takes 5 minutes to leave it. So please write activity 6.8. Only living plants show, prove by an activity that only living plants show transpiration. Only living plants show transpiration. Okay, so let us understand that activity 6.8. What we have to do is, we have to take two potted plants. I am drawing a very foolish diagram so that you can understand that I have taken a pot. I think even first standards would draw better than me. Fine. And here I will put one stick. I have taken what? A plant or a potted plant or a pot with a plant, and I have taken a pot with a stick. Okay. Now I bring both in sunlight. Fine. I cover this completely with one plastic sheet, and I cover this also with plastic sheet. Fine. And I leave it outside for it to produce food. After some time or after a day, when I come back and see the plant and the other stick, I will find that in the plastic cover where there was a plant, there will be some water droplets, which proves that plants actually give out water in the form of water vapor, which condenses back to form what? Water droplets. Whereas in the stick where there was no removal of water, there are no water droplets. So this proves that only living plants show the process of transpiration. Clear? Shall I repeat once again? What did I do? I took a pot. I put a plant in it. The plant has to be green, healthy, able to prepare food. Okay? In the other pot, I put a stick with the soil, everything same. I covered these completely with what sheet? Plastic sheets or polythene sheet, transparent polythene sheet. I left it like that in the sunlight for about few hours. Left it overnight, and when next day I came and saw the polythene sheet which enclosed the plant, there was some amount of water droplets, whereas which had stick, it did not have any water droplets. This basically shows that living plants transpire. Through the stomata, they remove excess water in the form of what vapor? Water vapor. And these water vapor condense to form what? Water droplets. Clear? Please draw this kind of a stupid diagram in front of that activity 6.8 so that you immediately remember. Draw in front of activity 6.8 this diagram by the time I read. Take two small pots of approximately the same size, having the same amount of soil. One should have a plant in it. Place a stick of the same height as the plant in the other pot. Cover the soil in both pots with a plastic sheet so that the moisture cannot escape by evaporation. Cover both sides, one with the plant and the other with a stick with plastic sheet, and place in bright sunlight for half an hour. Do you observe the difference in two cases? Please write. There is presence of water droplet. You have to write what is the difference in the two cases. There is presence of water droplet in the plastic sheet. There is presence of water droplet in the plastic sheet which contains plant. As plant lose excess water, by the process of transpiration. As plants lose excess water by the process of transpiration. Whereas the stick which is non-living does not transpire. Check yourself grammatically, please. As the stick is non-living, there is no transpiration. Concept clear what we were telling? That whenever you take a green plant and completely cover it with plastic sheet, you will find that the stomata of these plants open and they remove excess water in the form of water vapor. This is called as what? Transpiration. This being the stick, being non-living, having no stomata, there is no process of transpiration. Now let us understand. Provided that the plant has adequate supply of water, the water which is lost to the stomata is replaced by the water from xylem vessels in the leaf. In fact, evaporation of water molecules from the cells of the leaf creates a suction which pulls water from the xylem cells of the root. The loss of water in the form of vapor from the aerial parts of the plant is known as transpiration. Thus, transpiration helps in absorption and upward movement of water and minerals from roots to the leaf. It also helps in temperature regulation. The effect of root pressure in transport of water is more important at night. During the day when the stomata are open, the transpiration pull becomes the major driving force in the movement of water in the xylem. Please write. First question. Define transpiration. Define transpiration. Underline please. the loss of water in the form of vapor from the aerial part of the plant is known as transpiration. Right, next question. What is the importance of transpiration? What is the importance of transpiration? It helps in absorption and upward movement of water and minerals dissolved from root to leaves. It also helps in temperature regulation. Please write. So basically transpiration helps in movement of water from root to different parts of the plant or to the aerial parts of the plant. It also helps in regulation of temperature in plants. So what is transpiration? It is the loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant, which happens mainly through stomata. First life process and stomata present in the leaves basically help in exchange of gases and in transpiration. What is transpiration? The loss of water in the form of vapors from the aerial part of the plant. How does it help a plant? It helps in transporting of water and dissolved minerals from root to different parts of the plant, and it also helps in temperature regulation. Please write. What is transpiration pull? What is transpiration pull? Please underline. Evaporation of water molecule from the cells of the leaves creates a suction. Evaporation of water molecule from the cells of the leaves create a suction which pulls water from the xylem cells of the root. This is called as transpiration pull. So what happens is, from the aerial parts of the plant, all water starts evaporating in the form of water vapor. So this loss has to be fulfilled by the water which comes from the root. So this kind of a pull which is created by the aerial parts of the plant is called as what pull? Transpiration pull. Clear? Now write. Next question. Name two techniques used by plant to transport water and dissolved minerals from root to different parts of the plant. Name two techniques used by plants to transport water and dissolved minerals from root to the different parts of the plant. So what are our two techniques? First, what pull during the night? Root pull during the night, or root pressure during the night, and in the morning it is what? Transpiration pull. Please underline. Root pressure during night. The effect of root pressure in transport of water is more important at night, and during day when stomata is open, transpiration pull. Clear? So we will revise till here, then we will go to transportation of food in phloem. So the first thing what we study today is, it is essential that for plants to have a kind of transport system, because the distance between the root and leaves keeps on increasing as the plant size and the plant height increases. So when the plant is very small, diffusion pressure alone is sufficient to transport water and dissolved minerals to all parts of the plant. But as the plant size increases, diffusion pressure may not be sufficient, and hence we require a proper transportation system. Plants generally have a slow transport system because the plants do not move. They have a high quantity of dead cells in many tissues, and their energy requirements are very less. The main components of plant transport system are xylem tissue and phloem tissue. Xylem with its four components basically is useful for what? Transport of water and minerals. The four components of xylem: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Okay? These four components basically help in transportation of water and minerals. When you talk about transportation of water and minerals, the two vessels. The tracheids and vessels of the root form a continuous channel which continues even till the stem. So there is a continuous tube which is starting from the root of tracheids and vessels which continues to the aerial part of the plant. It is like a small pipe starting from the root and going to different parts of the plant carrying water and minerals. We find that soil and dissolved water in soil has high concentration of ions, whereas inside the root there is less concentration of water and ions. So water, due to this pressure, which is called as the root pressure, moves into the tracheids and vessels and goes to the different parts of the plant. This pressure is not sufficient to reach water to all the aerial parts of the plant. So what plants do is, they lose out during the day through the stomata excess water in the form of water vapor. The water loss is compensated from the water which is taken from the root. So, in the aerial parts of the plant, when the water is lost in the form of water vapor, a suction or a pull is created, which is called as what pull? Transpiration pull. This transpiration pull is responsible for circulating or for transporting water and minerals from root to different parts of the plant during the day, because during the day the stomata is open and there is loss of excess water in the form of water vapor from the stomata. So during night, plants use root pressure, and during day they use transpiration pull for the circulation of water from root to different parts of the plant. Clear? Something similar we studied even in respiration. What was the major activity during day? Oxygen release. What was the major activity during night? Carbon dioxide release. Isn't it? We said during the day, plants basically take in that carbon dioxide and use it for the process of photosynthesis and release oxygen. Same way, in transportation, during night, root pressure. During morning, transpiration pull. Now, for transport of food and other substances, we do not call the term transportation for transport of food and other substances. We say the transport of food and other substances with the help of phloem tissue is called as what? It is called as translocation. It is called as what? Translocation. Okay? So we will read through it. So far we have discussed the transport of water and mineral in plants. Now let us consider how the products of metabolic processes, particularly photosynthesis, are moved from leaf where they are formed to other parts of the plant. Underline and please write. Define translocation. Define translocation. The transport of soluble product of photosynthesis is called translocation, and it occurs in part of the vascular tissue known as phloem. So what we will write? The transport of food and other soluble substances through phloem is called as what? Translocation. Besides the product of photosynthesis, phloem also transfers amino acids and other substances. These substances are delivered to storage organs of fruit, seed, root and to growing organs. The translocation of food and other substances takes place in sieve tubes and companion cells, both in what direction? Upward and downward direction. Please write. Name the tissue. Name the tissue responsible for translocation of food. Name the tissue responsible for translocation of food. What is the tissue responsible? Phloem. Which part of phloem? Companion cells and seed tube. Which part of xylem we use? Tracheids and vessels. Which part of phloem we are using? Companion cells and seed tubes. And how does phloem move? Both in upward and downward direction. Whereas xylem only moves in one direction, which is what direction? Upward direction. From root to aerial parts of the plant. Unlike transport in xylem, which can be largely explained by simple forces, what was our simple force? Root pressure and transpiration pull. The translocation in phloem is achieved by utilizing energy. Underline that line. Translocation of phloem, not that starting part from the translocation, please underline. Translocation in phloem is achieved by utilizing energy. Continue underlying. Minerals like or materials like sucrose is transferred into the phloem tissue using energy from ATP. This increases the osmotic pressure of the tissue, causing water to move into it. This pressure moves the material in the phloem to tissues which have less pressure. This allows the phloem to move material according to plant's need. This is how phloem transports food. So what phloem does? It utilizes energy. The energy always is in form of what? ATP. It utilizes energy to dissolve food substances like sucrose into the tissue. The moment food substances get into it, the osmotic pressure of the tissue increases. And what is osmotic pressure? The pressure of dissolved substances inside the tissue. Okay, in xylem, the osmotic pressure generally does not increase because all the water and the minerals which are dissolved in it are very, very minute. Whereas food, what we eat, is larger than the amount of minerals I require. So the pressure builds up. And why it is called osmotic pressure? Because food goes via the process of osmosis and diffusion. So the osmotic pressure increases, and when the osmotic pressure in one particular place increases, it slowly takes away the pressure to the other by transporting also the dissolved substances from one end to the other. So wherever there is less of osmotic pressure, phloem will transport food into that particular area, and a proper maintenance of pressure will be created. Clear? Once again I am telling, phloem does not use transpiration pull or root pressure to transport dissolved food substances from the leaf. It uses energy in the form of ATP. This energy, which is utilized, is used for transferring substances like sucrose or dissolved glucose into the phloem tissue. When it gets dissolved, the osmotic pressure in the tissue increases. So phloem keeps on moving these dissolved substances from a region of high osmotic pressure to a region of low osmotic pressure, and hence food gets distributed to different parts of the plant. This allows the phloem to move material according to plant need. For example, in the spring, sugar is stored in root or stem, would be transported to buds which need energy to grow. So wherever there is requirement or there is less osmotic pressure, phloem will send the dissolved food substances so that it can be utilized. Is it clear? The transport of food and other soluble substances like amino acids from the leaf to different parts of the plant is done by phloem. This process of transportation of food is called as what? Translocation. How phloem transports? It basically uses energy in the form of ATP. This energy, which is used in the form of ATP, is useful for dissolving materials like sucrose into the phloem tissue, which increases the osmotic pressure, and hence phloem transports these food substances from a region of higher osmotic pressure to a region of low osmotic pressure, and hence food gets transported from the leaves to upward as well as downward direction. Now we will talk about the in-text question. What are the components of transport system in human beings? Blood, heart and lymph. Functions you can write. When you write about blood, you will write about RBC, WBC and platelet. You will write RBC helps in, RBC contains a respiratory pigment called hemoglobin, which helps in transport of oxygen. WBC helps to fight infection, and platelets help in clotting of blood. Lymph helps take in dissolved fat from the intestine, and also it sends back all the extra fluid back to blood. Then we also talk about the heart. Heart is our main pumping organ which pumps blood to different parts of the body with the help of 3 blood vessels: the arteries, the veins and capillaries. Why is it necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds? Because we are animals with high energy needs and we cannot tolerate mixing of blood. As a part of this energy is required to maintain what? Body temperature. So what will be our answer? It is necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds because we are all what animals? Warm-blooded animals, and we cannot tolerate mixing of blood. As a part of the energy required is used to maintain our body temperature. What are the components of transport system in highly organized plants? Tracheids and vessels of xylem and companion cells and sieve tubes of phloem. How are water and mineral transported in plants? Root pressure during night and transpiration pull during the day. How is food transported in plant? Nan last time underline madstadu. Food is transported with the energy. Material like sucrose is transferred into the phloem tissue using energy, which increases the osmotic pressure. Is it clear? So this finishes your transportation in plants. If you have doubts and you have not understood anything, please ask. Slightly technical class today because it talks about root pressure and transpiration pull. Root pressure during the night, transpiration pull during the day. Functions of transpiration: helps to transport water and minerals and help in temperature regulation. Thank you.